So we're gonna read the memorandum INI, which we're supposed to read it in the presence of their representative, but we're still gonna read it again for their representative, because what they will do, they will take it and throw it in a dustbin and don't do anything about what we said. So we just want to be on record in these cameras that are all over here, that this is what we came to present. But to take you through the issue quick, our brother Jara, busy is a sound man, everything, used to work for SARS as a legal interpreter. So he's one of the key witnesses about the existence of the rogue unit within SARS, which they are going to and fro. Some they say it exists, some doesn't exist. This is the most dangerous unit. It was established not even by an executive decision of the president or Minister of Security or the Minister of Defense, but it was established by a super minister, Mr. Pravin Gordhan. They also call him a Prime Minister of South Africa. He's the most powerful man in this country.
Down, Pravin Gordhan, down.
They say if you
Down, Pravin Gordhan, down. Down, capitalism, down. Super.
So they say this man, when you go against him, you never win. You see what is going on with public protector. They're sweeping the floor with them. You know, the courts are all in pocket. They say the courts are captured. There's a new capture going on. But we're not interested in the politics of state capture and everything. We are interested in the politics of ganja. It's a mega billion industry. That is why we have our brothers from 420 who sponsored us with these t-shirts that you are having. We have the chair of CDC representing the Cannabis Development Council of South Africa. We have the Marijuana Board of South Africa, represented by the most famous face, the most active member, Rastaphobia, which from the beginning when this thing began, we begin running with this thing together. And of course we have members of the Rastafarian community. Yeah. And then we have members of the Rastafarian community here. So the point here is a publication that came out on the 14th of July. Eh? Was it the 14th of July?
Yes, sir.
On the front page of Sunday Times, reporting about Brother Jara. The first line was quite very disturbing. It was saying, unemployed, dope, smoking Rastafarian. You see, there's a problem. Once that particular matter, dope is a drug. We don't smoke dope. We smoke ganja. And unemployment and the Rastafarian identity of a person does not give credence to whether you are a credible witness or not. So it was a discriminatory article full of racist antidotes and all these type of things. So, and 25 years into democracy, such kind of behavior is not allowed. We have heard the comments from the Chief Justice of this country. He disagrees with that. We have heard the comments from Public Protector. She disagrees with that. We have heard the comments from Mr. Zolinzi Mavavi of SAF2 as a unionist. He also disagrees with that. And we've had decent people from CDC, Rastafari community, all around condemning this particular action. So, and we are here to do a formal handing over of the memorandum. We protested from the first day. We came here last Sunday to picket here in this building. It was only a few of us to show that we don't agree with that. An injury to one ganja smoker is an injury to all, whether you are Rasta or not. Today we are here with our brothers who are not necessarily Rastafari, but we are all members of the cannabis community. We share the same struggle. So, and we appreciate their presence. That they see that it's not only a group of some discontent black people, but it's everybody in this country. And Pride is say, Joe!
Joe! Joe! Fire burn Sunday Times and Jack Paul.
Fire burn!
Before I go into the memorandum, this is what we demand. Welcome Mr. Peter, the Deputy Editor of the Sunday Times, and Ma'am Susan. These two honorable dignitaries in front of us are representative of this newspaper that offended us 3 weeks ago. So I don't know if They are like Mr. Mushosho Munaring and her PA Lerato, who show us so much arrogance when we went to ask a simple paper required by the security clusters, a notification that you know that we are coming to your house. That's only decent. And then he began by saying it will be shooting themselves on the feet. We're not a court of law. We're not convicting you. We don't ask you to admit guilt or not guilt. But consistent denial means the truth is the opposite.
Yes.
Now, once you start to stand there and start to say, well, we'll be admitting this, admitting that, that means you know that you are guilty. Now, this is an unconditional demand. You are going to write an apology on the front page. Not that thing that you put it on the third page, on page 3 in the corner there where nobody don't see it. You don't do that, we promise you a march every month. And you say you must just wear a running shoes to come and walk from there to here, but at least they bring you. Walk there to here to receive our memorandum, because we are not going to stop. This is just a few of us, because it's just an emergency thing, but it will escalate. It's a promise, it's not a threat. We don't do threats. We are Rastafari United Front. We are Rastafari Civil, Cultural and Faith Right Organization. We are existing purely for these 3 things: civil rights, cultural rights, and faith rights. We are not existing for any other argument. Our argument is when you chase the children from school, when you write negative articles about Rasta, when you violate civil rights, which Constitution of this country and human rights, Bill of Rights are guaranteeing to all the people. So once you do that, we are a revolutionary watchdog that we make sure we come in to defend Rastafari community. So that one is our first demand. You are going to write an apology. The second demand,
We require Mr. Jack Paul.
we request Mr. Jack Paul to go and do community service there in Alexander. And just go and clean the streets of Alexander for a week.
Yeah.
It is clear that
Fireborn, fireborn.
Fireborn!
Fireborn, Jack Paul, fireborn.
Fireborn!
Fireborn, Jack Paul, fireborn.
Because
Fireborn, the editor-in-chief, fireborn. Fireborn, Sunday time, fireborn.
so this is why Alexander, it is known as the poorest of the poorest living there. And the unemployed are there. So you must go and spend a week among the unemployed and have a better understanding of unemployment and poverty. We don't choose to be poor. We Rastafari are unemployed and unemployable. Why? Because of stuff like this. You don't make us. Do you think who's going to employ him again?
No one.
Who's going to employ him again after all that you wrote? Nobody. So you relegated him to poverty and you make him effectively unemployed. That is your doing. You are, I don't know, this rogue journalists who are trying to defend rogue unit. This is insensitivities that we have to deal with. One more soul is unemployed, his family, his children are without food. It's a reality of the poor in this country. Ja! Amandla! Hallelujah! Hai khutle naha le matekwane yona. We Rastafari, this is our memorandum. It is gonna need to be signed, before they leave with it. Just for us to read together. Yeah. We first, the heading of our memorandum is simple. Rastafari protests in advancing inherent rights to human dignity. We have inherent rights. There are certain rights you are just born with them. As a human being, you have to be respected. Human dignity is our inherent right. Now, we first as acclaimed members of human race, foremost as law-abiding citizenry, and far most as Rastafari, state categorically that we are the only remaining guardians, custodians, princesses and princes, kings and queens for promotion, protection, retention, and advancing of ancient order, a perfect natural law. We stand here in the torn grounds of Johannesburg, representing 3 million Rastafari members in South Africa and millions more and more of Rastafari communities, continental and across the turbulent and troubled seas. Again, for and on behalf of peace-loving South Africans and families of international communities who associate with this cause for preservation and protection of human dignity, wherever, whichever, however, and whatsoever possible and plausible. it is worth reminding all and sundry that the Bill of Rights is the heartbeat of the world-acclaimed South African Constitution. And any disrespect and disregard of such rights is a direct insult and violent attack to the will of the people. The undermining of the right to cultural and religious practice, underpinned by the Section 15, 30 and 31, more so, has the overall drawn mark of encroaching harshly on the right to human dignity and the right to be. Notably, it is glaringly apparent that this is overtly and covertly sponsored, engineered and calculated agenda is directly intended to systematically assassinate the person and limbo of the Rastafari individually and collectively. We say we all carry the fame and shame of Rastafari. An injury to one Rasta is an injury to all. If you attack one Rasta and portray him in the negative, everybody run with that narrative and say all Rastas are like this. Exactly what Sunday Times did. It did not only injure the person of Jara Bizoski Manyike, but it also injured the person of the Rastafari community and the ganja smokers and the unemployed. Must always remember that. As Rastafari, we have walked this abusive path over a long period of time. And now to openly witness same old tricks, strategies, tactics and techniques revisiting us in this new dispensation makes a hollow ring in the letter and spirit of the Constitution. Acknowledging that whilst the Constitution affords media to right to freedom of expression, however, such should never be insensitively and recklessly applied to the detriment of anyone, as pertaining to the current impasse. Stating more time that we owe no apology or explanation to Sunday Times or anyone with illicit associated thoughts or opinion to account in respect of our natural, ordained and obtained right to be Rastafari. Of noteworthy, to be acclaimed and proclaimed as self-chosen, we solely owe allegiance, subscription, description and belonging to the applicable laws of the higher one. Thirdly, we have regrettably and painstakingly observed with reservation the article published by the Sunday Times newspaper depicting Ras Bizoski Jara Manyike as dope-smoking Rastafarian. And we need to emphasize this thing. This is very offensive. One thing we are willing to lay our life down for, and we have done that for the past 25 years and go to jail for, and have earned our stripes, is ganja. Ganja, don't mix it up with dope. Ganja, we are ganja smokers, proudly so, as ordained by the Almighty. So we know that that is our divine right. But now once you start to mix up the whole thing, you want to blame us for the Nyaupe smokers of this world and other drug users of this world. We don't want that shifting of the blame. Noting again that this inflammatory and damning statement is orchestrated and intended to cast and brand a bad image and standing of the letter of being a Rastafari specifically, but also to equally cast such negative aspersions to every Rastafari religious and cultural communities at large. To us, Ubuntu principles are the ultimate goal to be. Noting further that this underlining statement has a far-reaching and deep-seated tone to dissuade any suspecting person to embrace the will to be or associate or realize the Rastafari as a state of becoming. And if this ill-gotten intent purport does not quantify and qualify as a systematic genocide of Rastafari way of life concept, then nothing will.
Nothing will.
We thus collectively and in unison, under the banner of one love, one aim, one destiny, one resolution, one revolution, and one Jarastafari resolve as regards that. 1. Jack Paul unconditionally tender a written apology in detail and place such in front page of Sunday Times newspaper. However, this shall not be misconstrued to discourage or preclude Bizoski Jara Manyike from exercising his constitutional rights in defending his good name and fame against the journalist and Sunday Times respectively. Number 2, Sunday Times must desist from abusing its imprinting rights in casting Rastafari individuals or community as a people of lesser or no value at all, thus fueling misleading perception of who or what Rastafari is to be, misguided eyes and ears. The Sunday Times 3, the Sunday Times ensure adherence to assigned rules and regulation regarding procurement and reporting of news that is fair, unbiased, and balanced. 4, if these demands are not afforded an adherence, we will embark on national campaign urging people neither to buy or read the paper, including but not limited to reporting the matter to before Parliament. Demanding that we be, demanding that we be afforded a written response regarding this memorandum within 10 working days, 10 days working period from date of submission. And then we have a space here for the recipient from Sunday Times, and also we have a space for the recipient from the RUF and on behalf of Rastafari communities. And then we are going to provide a copy to the Sunday Times, and then another copy to the security clusters, the police officials. They need to have it for the record, and then we keep another copy for ourselves. So Sunday Times will do well by just taking our memorandum as it is and print it there as part of an educational program to let them know who we are. It is clear that we are dealing with a well-established institutionalized ignorance. And as Rastafari, we are here to separate sense from nonsense. And we always teach that the unaware are unaware that they are unaware. The ignorant are ignorant of their ignorance. Sunday Times is ignorant, so we are just slapping them with an educational program, which is just to go and study us a little bit, not on Wikipedia and Google, on the ground. Rastafari is a liberty, is a way of life. It's not a lectural discourse. It's not a learned behavior. It's a way of life. Do you understand me? Jam! Jam! So we are going to sign the 2 memorandum.
Community, thank you for coming here and expressing your views and exercising your constitutional rights in such a wonderful, peaceful and expressive way. The Sunday Times respects the Rastafarian community as an integral part of the South African community. We recognize and respect Rastafarianism as a social, religious, cultural and political movement that emerged in response to the exploitation and oppression of black people in much of the world, including in South Africa. Our article, in which a member of the South Africa's Rastafarian community, Keletso Manyike, was identified as the source for Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebani's findings in her SARS investigation, did not intend to demean or offend the Rastafarian community. We accept that mentioning Manyike's Rastafarian affiliation in the story may have created the impression that this affiliation had a bearing on his integrity and on the substance of the story. Nothing could be further from the truth. This was not the intention, and we apologize for any offense this may have caused. Thank you, my brothers and sisters.
Thank you, Mr. Bruce, for your apology, which is clearly that it looked like we did have to force it out, like Nyok, Rawagapisayon. So now, nevertheless, our demand still stands. Our apologies require a demand still stand. Like I say, don't worry about us. We don't have a problem with Mzabalas. That's what we do. We will come every week, if possible, and every month. And it will gain momentum until all decent South Africans. You have heard, at least for the first time, we had the Chief Justice of this country condemned it. The Public Protector condemned it. Mr. Zolinzima Vavi, representing the workers, condemned it. And every decent South African condemned that. We take apology, we don't accept it, we're just taking it. So we have other 5 demands. So when the 5 demands are met, and then we will deal with that. So I'm going to give you to our program director, Rasti, to continue while we signing these papers with Mr. Peter.